All right, here I am at the South Kaiser Avenue Railroad Crossing in Deshler, Ohio. Now this railroad crossing right here is another rather neat crossing owned by the CSX Willard subdivision here right in the middle of this little town here in Deshler, where you get a lot of CSX train action per se, since this lays down a diamond, the old crossroads of the B&O, owned by where the CSX Toledo and Willard subdivisions cross, as well as 3 Ys that take you to and from those 2 subdivisions, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the many neat crossings that have like some remnants of the old days, and this may be my favorite one because of many reasons, but I'll explain everything as I go on. So I guess with all that said, let's get on to it. So for the first signal, this has a Western Cullen Hayes double-sided base, as you can see. And here's the emergency information in the dot tag, and the dot number is 142303B. But yeah, that's that for you. It's a newer mast, so maybe like an older Western Cullen Hayes mast used to be here. And for the gate mechanism, this has a Siemens gate mechanism with the stamped logo. And this gate features some NEG LED gate lights and a wind guard on this mast. But yeah. And for the lights on this one, this has 2 pairs of Western Cullen Hayes 12x24 and second generation LEDs with the flat back light heads with the Leotech EV series LED inserts because they're more flush while the actual second gen LEDs stick out. And these are sitting on a Western Cullen Hayes light bracket, as you can see. And for a bell, this has an NEG electronic bell set on medium to low volume. So yeah, and I guess one more thing worth mentioning about this crossing in particular, or like all the crossings on this line just about, is that the bells are only wired to ring while the gates are going down, and they don't ring again after that. So yeah, that was the first signal, pretty modern. But moving on to the second signal, which is not similar to the first. Well, it kind of is, but as you can see just by looking at it, it is definitely older. So yeah, I guess that's it. Let's go and move on to the second signal, which is similar to the first one. So for this one, this has a Western Cullen Hayes base with the WRS bat clamp, as you can see. And here's the emergency information once again. And for the gate mechanism, this has a Western Cullen Hayes gate mechanism, older generation, with the protractor on the gate arms. But yeah, and this gate features some Ricoh LED gate lights and a wind guard on this mast as well. And one thing worth mentioning about this gate mechanism is that the gate is very twitchy and very shaky when it's going up and going down. Maybe the counterweights are misadjusted in some sort of way, but it's definitely a very bouncy gate mechanism per se. And for the lights on this one, this has 3 pairs of Western Cullen Hayes 12x24 inch light heads with the Leotech EV series LEDs in them. Yeah, like these are the older light heads too. Quite cool. And these are all sitting on WRS light brackets with the side lights pointing towards this little side road right here, which is Mulberry Street. And for a bell, this has a Western Cullen Hayes mechanical bell, second generation, which is pretty neat. But yeah, pretty neat stuff to see. Another remaining mechanical bell on the Willard sub. And as you can see, this crossing has 3 tracks before I forget to mention. 2 for the main Willard and 1 for this Y, which I believe is the Southeast Y. Yep, the Southeast Y. The other one's the Southwest. But I'm gonna go ahead and shake this signal for you guys to see what this bell sounds like. I've gotten this crossing in action a handful of times, I already know, but just for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and shake it. So, if I can. Here. Actually, that is very riggedy. Yeah, never mind. This is very riggedy. As you can see, I think that's loose a little bit, and the wires are a little bit stripped. Yeah, this is definitely a very janky signal, but it's still there, still serving its purpose. So yeah, that's the second signal on Kaiser Avenue. Now, I guess to move on with a little bonus with this crossing. But yeah, before I move on, these 2 little signals right here, that are kind of interconnected with this crossing in a way. One night I went here to get this crossing in action to catch a heritage unit, and the flash relays are very buggy on this thing, especially on that signal. Like sometimes when this crossing activates, the lights don't flash, just both of them come on at the same time. It's quite odd. So yeah, that right there is the main signals of Kaiser Avenue. Now let's go ahead and move on to the 2 signals here at Mulberry Street that are intertwined with this crossing. Now this road is closed because they're redoing the crossing grade, but I still figured to check this out while we're here. There's a couple of dangling power lines too. But yeah, now here is the next signal, which is technically separate, but I'll explain in a little bit how this is interconnected with Kaiser Avenue. So for this signal, this has a Western Cullen Hayes base with the federal signal. Oh no, this is a regular Western Cullen Hayes base. I thought it was a federal signal base, but this has a Western Cullen Hayes face 4-inch. And here's the emergency information, the dot number for Mulberry Street number 2, because there's Mulberry Street number 1, which I might tour here in a minute. But yeah, and the dot number is 142302U. And for the lights on this one, this has 2 pairs of Western Cullen Hayes 12 by 24 inch second generation LEDs with the rounded back light heads. And these are all sitting on a Western Cullen Hayes light bracket. And this signal has no bell on it. So yeah, that was the first signal here. Now let's move on to the second, which is right over here. Has some similarities. So here's the second signal. So this one has a Western Cullen Hayes base with the federal signal back clamp. Gotta be careful, there's picker weeds right here. And here's the emergency information once again. And this has 2 more pairs of Western Cullen Hayes 12 by 24 inch second generation LEDs on a Western Cullen Hayes light bracket with the rounded back light heads. And this signal has no bell on it either. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and explain how these 2 signals were interconnected with the 2 main signals. Now, when there's a train on this Y only, obviously these 2 signals activate. But they kind of like act like secondary lights, because as soon as the train clears this Y, both these signals shut off and then the gates go up. It's kind of interesting. And obviously these remain shut off when there's a train only on the main line, one of the 2 main tracks. So yeah, just figured to add these in while I'm here, since they're intertwined with Kaiser Avenue. So yeah, and as you can see, there's the signal for the Y. So yeah, that right there is all there is to show at Kaiser Avenue. Here's the relay case right there. Kaiser Street is what they call it, but yeah. And with that said, let's go to take a look at the track view. We have a westbound right here, so I'm gonna hurry up and end this. And I got a little bit of time. Here's the markings for main 1 and main 2. So down there is heading east, right towards the Diamond, where the CSX-Toledo sub crosses over the Willard sub. And you can see the other 2 crossings at Main Street and Southeast Avenue, which I toured a little bit ago. As you can see, there's also the Northeast Y right there. And once again, here's another look at the Southeast Y with the Safetran color light signals. All default color red. You can see down there for eastbounds and for like the general Diamond and whatnot. And you can kind of see the other Y as well, and a couple of other signals. And there's another crossing right there heading right towards, I believe that is Main Street or Deshler Street. I forgot what the name was. But yeah, and down there is heading west right towards another gantry and crossover track. There was a crossover track in the eastern direction too. Yep, and this is heading towards more crossings, eventually towards the Leipzig area, as I forgot to mention, in the last video. Oh, and speaking of which, yes, these crossings tend to malfunction a lot. I mean, I may or may not mention that in my last video with the other 2 crossings, but these 2 crossings, well, almost all the crossings here are prone to malfunctioning in some sort of way, like they take forever to deactivate, or sometimes they just activate out of nowhere. They like to time out a lot. And I already mentioned the flash relay thing with this one, where just both lights would flash on at the same time and just twitch out. But yeah, I guess all that said, this was the Kaiser Avenue Railroad crossing here in Deshler, Ohio. Pretty neat stuff. I'm about to get in action here once again in a second. So I guess all that said, over and out.